So Pokemon Red and Blue have been around for more than 2 decades now, and I think it's safe to say that most people tend to avoid these games these days. I mean, they are the first in the series and they can feel very dated in a lot of aspects, especially if you have access to the remakes, which is probably what most people are gonna play if they want to experience Gen 1. Now, in my opinion, that's a damn shame, because these are some of the only Pokemon games that can give you true freedom to do whatever you want to do. If you can think it, you can probably do it. But without further ado, I, Xentain, will show you just one of the ways that I like to play this game. So first up, like normal, I need to name myself on the rival. Now believe it or not, this is actually going to be really important, so I can't mess this up. With that in mind, I went with these 2 names. With that done, I can now shrink down and finally be able to play the game. Now while I'm making my way over to Professor Oak, I might want to give you a little insight to how I'm going to be approaching this playthrough. See, I'm going to set a single rule for myself, because if I don't, this playthrough is going to go off the rails. So in order to prevent that, this is the one rule that I have to follow. I have to collect all the badges in order before I can take on the league. That's it. How I want to go about doing that is up to me, and I have no other limitations. But anyway, let's get back on track. I've talked to Professor Oak and I can now choose which Pokemon I want. Now again, this is going to be extremely important, so I gotta make the right choice. Now this is Pokemon Blue and I do really like Squirtle, but I'm gonna go with Bulbasaur. Not because I like him or because I think he's good, but because he has one redeeming ability. Now, I don't want to spoil it, but let's just say he can really go beyond the boundary. But now that I have my Pokemon, I just need to beat the rival, collect Oak's parcel, and receive the Pokédex. But once all that is done, the tutorial's over, and we can finally get to the fun stuff. So now, once we finally get to Viridian Forest, there's actually a few things we need to do here. The first would be to get my Bulbasaur level 8 and no higher. Now look, I know that seems easy enough, but there is a little curveball that you have to watch out for. See, there's only one trainer in this entire place that's unavoidable. It's this trainer right here. Now, the trick with this trainer is he'll always give you a level of experience if you're on or below level 8. So, you need to make sure that you're not on level 8 before you fight him, otherwise, well, you're just gonna have to boot up another save. But once you've beaten him and he's out of the way, you can finally make it to Pewter City. Now this is only going to be a temporary visit because there's still one more thing I need to do in Viridian Forest. I need to get these moves in this order with this exact amount of power points in each one. Now this can be a little hard to do, especially since I won't be able to use the Pokemon Center anymore, as I'll just reset the points back to full. But this is where Viridian Forest comes in handy. There happens to be one Pokemon here that can make this entire process that much easier. Now hear me out. Metapods. They are amazing when it comes to lowering power points. They've got that naturally high defense, and if you couple with the Hun spam, you essentially get a brick wall. And like a brick wall, they don't hit back. Now, yes, there is one little flaw of this strategy. Whenever the Metapods get low on health, I need to make sure to run away and try to find another one. This is simply because I cannot afford to level up accidentally. Now, while I'm farming these Metapods in the background, I might want to stop blue balling and just explain why I'm doing all of this. Well, believe it or not, this is all to help me beat the first gym. And since it's the first one, I kinda want to do something a little bit special for it. So I came up with an idea. I want to catch myself a legendary and use it to beat the gym. Now in my current state, I would say that there is about only one legendary that I can catch. However, there is just one little problem. It's on the other side of the map. But this is why my Bulbasaur comes into play. See, if you have a level 8 Bulbasaur with this specific move setup, you'll be able to perform a walk through walls glitch at Pewter City. And now that I'm done with the Metapods, I think it's about time I show you how it's done. So first I need to have my cursor over the save option and then walk past this NPC. Now on his 4th piece of dialogue, I'm going to press A and quickly open the menu. Now if you're fast enough, you'll be able to open the menu before the NPC begins the process of showing you around Pewter. However, if I was to open the menu this way, you won't be able to move the cursor up or down. It will be locked in place. This is the reason why you want it over save, because that will be the next thing I want to do. Once that's done, I will reset, and when I continue, I'll hold down right and walk to the next route. After that, I'll walk back and stand in this exact spot right here. Next, I'll open the Pokemon menu, close it, and talk to the NPC again. This time on his 4th piece of dialogue, I'm going to press and hold B, and if everything went correctly, the walls glitch should now be active. Now if I was to give one piece of advice about this glitch, it'd be not to walk too far outside the boundary. Look, I understand that you all want to know what's in the grass at Pallet Town, but I assure you, it's only ever going to be disappointment. Plus it crashes your game and might corrupt your save. But anyway, I don't think I ever said where I was going. Well, I'm currently heading south down to Cinnabar Island. Why? Well, I want to pick myself up an Ultra Ball, which is going to help me greatly in catching the legendary. Oh, and that also reminds me, there is one little detail I forgot to mention about the walls glitch. You lose it once you enter a building. Now, I don't know if you know this, but Cinnabar is an island. Like, without a dock. And I don't have fly or surf. But that's okay because I do have an escape rope. So I can just use this in the Pokemon Mansion and it'll take me back to Pewter. And now that we're back, I think it's about time we catch myself a legendary. So I'll set up the walls glitch again, and this time I'm gonna head east to the power plant, while trying to dodge all these trainers. Because if you want to know, you can lose it if you enter a fight with another trainer. So it's always best to avoid that. But we finally made it to the power plant, and I'm pretty sure everyone knows which legendary I'm going for. But of course, there is just one problem. I've got to make it all the way to the end with a level 8 Bulbasaur. Now, to be fair, it isn't as bad as it sounds. Most Pokemon around here are only level 22, so Bulbasaur can take a few hits, except if something uses self-destruct or I run into these two assholes. Other than that though, I should be relatively fine. Another good thing is I did bring potions with me, so that'll help out quite a bit. Now, as for the strategy that I took, if you can even call it that, was to take the least amount of steps possible while simultaneously getting on my hands and knees and praying that I don't encounter anything too fucked up. Once I make it a certain distance, I will save and use it as a checkpoint. This is going to be key because I'm going to be fainting a lot. But over time, we can slowly make our way through the area. Not to mention that I got really lucky by the end, as I didn't really even encounter anything. So hey, I'll take it. But of course, that was just the calm before the storm, as we've finally made it to the end. This right here is what we've come for, so let's get to catching it. But this is one of those, that's easier said than done kind of situations, as now, I'm gonna have to catch it, without weakening it. I mean, let's be honest here, either one of its two attacks is instantly gonna wipe me out, so my back is against the wall. But all's not lost because I ran the calculations. Apparently the chances of me catching a full HP Zapdos with an Ultra Ball is exactly 0.9%, which honestly is a lot better than I thought. Now, I did end up catching it, but does anyone want to guess how long it took me? It took me 7 hours. Was it worth it? Probably not, but now at least I have a Pokemon that I can actually use in battle. The funny thing is though, I almost reset when I caught it. I'm pretty sure muscle memory is to blame, but you could probably chop that up with the fact that my brain had completely liquefied at that point. But we got it, so I think it's about time we get out of here. So now that we finally have my Zapdos, does that mean I'm ready to take on the gym? Well, technically yes, but there's still two more things I want to do before that. I want to unlock access to Saffron and get the Xentain ticket. Now normally I would do this after the gym, but the Walls NPC will disappear once I get the badge, so this is really the only time left I have to do it. But that's okay because this shouldn't take too long. So for the time being, I will deposit Zapdos and set up the Walls glitch again. This time, I'll be heading to Celadon. Now, as we all know, Saffron is blocked by the guards, so you won't be able to walk in and out of it. This is kind of annoying considering it's in the center of the map, and having access to it now will come in handy later on. So, I might as well take this opportunity to unlock it. Plus, let's be real here, it's really not that hard to do. It's about as hard as buying a bowl of water. But with that done, I'll use an escape rope in the rocket hideout and that should take me back to Pewter. This only leaves me with one more thing left, the Xentain ticket. Now, we all know Bill is the one who has it, so all I'm going to do is just head for his house on the outskirts of Cerulean. Now, once I get there, I just have to help him out with his weird body swap fetish thing, and he'll give me the ticket. Now, the reason why I wanted this isn't actually because I wanted to enter the boat, well, at least not yet. I wanted it so I can pass through this house in Cerulean, which is normally blocked by this guard. But with those two things done, there's only really one more thing left to do, and that's to take on the gym. Now, since I'm using an electric Pokemon, I won't be able to use any of my electric moves inside this gym. Because fun fact, even though this gym is a rock type gym, all the Pokemon encountered in here share the ground typing, not rock. It's super weird. Hell, even the first trainer doesn't even own a rock type Pokemon. What is he even doing here? Whatever. I can just use Zapdos's bird moves, which apparently aren't that effective, but I think mine in the game's definition of effective is slightly different. But there we have it, my first badge. I definitely think it was a good idea starting off slow and simple, but I think from here on out, we should probably start ramping it up a bit. So next up is the second badge, and this is where I'd normally say something on the lines of, hey, let's set up the walls glitch again. But as I've already said before, once you beat the gym, the NPC will disappear. So for the next little bit, I will have to, now brace yourself, play the normal way. Disgusting. But after a while going through a sea of trainers and a cave of Zubats, I finally make it to the other side. So does that mean I'm ready to take on the gym? Of course not. That'd be way too easy, and where's the fun in that? Instead, I'm going to even out the odds just to make things a little bit more interesting. But in order to do that, I need to get my hands on a particular item. But of course, it isn't exactly the easiest thing to get. Let's just say there happens to be a very overweight object blocking the way, and the only way around it is if I play some tunes with a magical flute. I'm pretty sure you all know what I'm talking about. So before we make our way to Lavender Town, I'm going to make a quick pit stop at Celadon. See, there are two things I need to do here. The first would be to buy the Pokédoll from the department store. Simple, it only cost me $1,000. Now the second thing is to get one of the prizes from the game corner, and it should be something that can help me get around much faster. So I'll definitely want to pick it up before I leave. So first I need to get the coin case from the man at the restaurant and then head straight over to the game corner. Now there are a few ways of getting coins: buying them, winning them, and my favorite, scrounging them off the ground and from the other patrons. Because if you didn't know, you can actually collect up to 280 free coins this way. The best thing yet, I only need 120, so this is a piece of cake. Now if you haven't already guessed what I'm gonna get, it's gonna be an Abra. So once I buy him, I will rest at Saffron so I can walk back here every time I want to get around. Anyway, I think it's time we head for Lavender Town and get the Pokeflute. Now normally you would need to get all the way to the top of the Poke Tower in order to get it. However, I don't have the Sylph Scope, so I won't be able to pass the Ghost of Marowak. The good thing is, you don't need the Sylph Scope. This Pokédoll will also do the job, because for some reason, when it ends the battle with Marowak, it will make the game think that I've won. So hey, I'll take it. So now all that we have to do is rescue Mr. Fuji and get the Pokeflute. Once we've got it, there is only one more thing that I have to get past in order to get the Ironmire one, and it would have to be this guy. So let's wake his bitch ass up and get him off the damn road. With that dealt with, I can now finally make it to the fishing guru's house. Now there are 3 gurus in total, and this just so happens to be the one that gives you the super rod. But why would I want this? Well, I had the idea of catching myself a team for the gym within the gym, because, fun fact, you can actually fish Pokemon inside the gym. And this isn't a bug either, they actually fully programmed what Pokemon will be in it and what their levels are. Speaking of which, this is also the reason why I wanted the super rod, because the max level Pokemon I can fish inside the gym is only level 15. Pretty crazy. But let's not waste any time and just get straight to fishing. So the first Pokemon I found was a Psyduck. Unfortunately, it obliterated my Bulbasaur, which is just fantastic. Also, my Abra doesn't have like a single damaging move, and my Zapdos is on the opposite side of the spectrum, it deals too much damage. So my only real option here is to use the tactical strategy of throwing Pokeballs until I catch it. Luckily, it only took me 6, so now I have something that can weaken the rest. So next up, I found another Psyduck and my first Krabby. After that, I wasn't finding much else over here, so I think it's time to change the position. This turned out to be one of the best ideas, as I found my first Goldeen in this guy's hair. Now the 5th Pokemon was another Goldeen I found up here, and the last Pokemon was also another Goldeen that I fished out of this statue. Because yes, statues do actually count as a water tile, which is honestly pretty weird. But that brings the total up to 1 Krabby, 2 Psyducks, and 3 Goldeens. I think this should be good enough to take out Misty if I play right. However, unlike Brock, there is one trainer that I have to beat in order to reach her. But that's okay because this should be a good test for my new team. Now this trainer might only have 1 Pokemon, but it does happen to be level 19, so I need to play smart. Now the approach I took was to tail whip it down a few times so I can deal adequate damage. Little did I know, I almost took it out with 1 Pokemon, but unfortunately, it used Supersonic. So for the rest of the battle, my Goldeen was just punching itself in the face. However, I was lucky enough to win the battle the very next round. And I will say, this has definitely given me a lot more confidence in my team. But now comes the real challenge. It's time to take on the leader Misty. Now her first Pokemon is a Staryu, and for whatever reason, she started off with an X defense. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't even remember her having those. But the funny thing is, I started off with a Tail Whip, so that pretty much ended the first round in a draw. Now, for the next couple of rounds, I'm going to continue the strategy of Tail Whipping it down, and that's just because the level difference makes it really hard to deal substantial damage. But after I managed to get its defense down a couple of times, I did manage to land a few hits. But unfortunately, Staryu retaliated and took out my Goldeen. But honestly, that's fine, because my Psyduck was easily able to pick it off in the very next round. So 1 down, 1 more to go. But let's not get too ahead of ourselves. That was the easy part. Now comes the pain. Misty's last Pokemon is a level 21 Starmie, so that makes it outright 6 levels above all my other Pokemon. So I need to play this pretty safe. So the first thing I'm going to do is switch to another Goldeen, and again, start the process of weakening its defense. Now my Goldeen did manage to get its defense down 3 stages before it fainted, but that's not going to be enough, so I decided to send out my Krabby and try to get it down a little bit lower. This worked out pretty well, and my Krabby did manage to get it to the lowest point possible before it fainted. But now, I can switch from defense to offense. So I'll switch to my Psyduck, and on the first turn, I landed a crit, which if you didn't know, is one of the worst possible things that could have happened. Let me explain. In Gen 1, the crits don't factor in the increase or decrease of stats, so when it calculated the damage, it actually helped the Starmie by bypassing its -6 defense, which in turn meant a lot less damage than a normal attack, believe it or not. Now, all is okay because in the next round I did manage to land a normal attack, and it did quite a bit of damage. However, the round after that, I landed another crit. Man, it sucks to be this lucky. So because of all those unfortunate chain of events, my Pokemon got taken out, leaving me with only 2 more left. So I sent out my other Psyduck, and I got critted in the first round, which pretty much almost KO'd me. But I was lucky enough to get 2 more hits in before I fainted, setting up my last Pokemon to finish the job. So I sent in my last Pokemon Goldeen and landed the last hit, taking the Starmie down and giving me the win. So all in all, I would say this was a pretty good team considering the level difference. But with that, I now have the second badge. So I think it's about time we move on to the third gym. Now for this one, I actually want to get myself another Pokemon that's more powerful and useful than my Zapdos. Now I'm not going to say whether or not that's going to be easy or hard to pull off, but I will say the process is going to be extremely convoluted. And honestly, I wouldn't have it any other way. So first things first, I need to catch myself a pretty specific Pokemon. So this Pokemon needs to know Growl, can learn Fly, and is decently strong. Now believe it or not, there is actually one Pokemon close by that fits that description. I'll give you a hint. It's a bird, you can find it on Cycling Road, and it's the evolution of a Pokemon that everyone picks Pidgey over. Now I'm pretty sure you know who I'm talking about, but if you don't, well, it doesn't really matter considering I'm bad to catch one. Or at least I was until this Snorlax blocked my way. No big deal though, I can just wake him up and get him off the road. But that's when I come to another blockade. See, this guard won't let me pass until I have the bike. Now, I could go get it, and honestly that'd be a pretty smart idea, especially since it'll beat walking around. But I didn't think that far ahead, so instead I opted to walk left and mash B, because for whatever reason, that not only works, but they also give you a complimentary bike. Now, if you haven't guessed it already, the Pokemon I'm looking for is a Fearow. It's a little hard to find sometimes because it only has an encounter rate of 5%, but I did get lucky and managed to find one pretty quick, so after I catch it, that'll be the first part done. Now, the second part is where things get a little bit more interesting. See, I want to get myself a ton of rare candies and golden nuggets. The nuggets are pretty self-explanatory, I just want some like money for once, and the rare candies are for power leveling one of my Pokemon. Now the easiest and well, the only way I know how to get a lot of these items is to duplicate them. This will however require me to have at least one of each item. The good part is, I already have them. See, I picked them up when I was in the Poké Tower in Lavender Town, so we can just tick that right off the list. Now when it comes to duplicating them, there are a few options, but the easiest one for me right now would probably have to be the Trainer Escape glitch. Now for those who don't know what it is, I'll give you the fastest rundown I can, so just bear with me. It's a glitch that can allow you to force an encounter with a Pokemon or trainer of your choice, as long as you go through the correct procedure. See, this glitch works in 3 stages: activating it, locking in a Pokemon index number, and executing the encounter. So let's go through each of those stages and perform the glitch. Now before we can even begin this glitch, you'll need to have one of these 4 things. Either a Pokemon that can fly, teleport, dig, or at least be able to use an escape rope. Basically, you just need something that can warp you back to a Pokemon Center. Now, I will be performing this outside, so I won't be able to use dig or escape rope, so they're crossed off the list. Now, I don't actually have a Pokemon with fly, so that's not really an option for me either. I do, however, have a Pokemon that can teleport, so I will be using my Abra for this. Next, I need to find a special type of trainer that's known as a long-range trainer. Now what this trainer is an NPC that can walk the maximum distance when asking for a battle. Now there are a few of these trainers, and I will provide a link to this image that shows every single one of them. Now the trainer that I'm going to be using for this is going to be this one here on Route 6. Now to activate the glitch, I just need to do the following. Walk to the right just until the trainer appears off screen, just like this. Then I'll take one step down and then to the left, while simultaneously opening the menu. Now you will only have around 1 frame to pull this off, so I would highly suggest that you save before doing this. However, since I was successful, I will then select my Abra and use Teleport. Now as you can see, the trainer's attention bubble will pop up like normal. However, before he's able to walk towards me, I've already teleported away, and in this case, to Saffron. Now what this has done is cause the game to think that I'm in a battle when I'm actually not, resulting in the game reading some of its own code values incorrectly, meaning that stage 1 is done and the glitch is now active. Now, if you wanted another indication of whether the glitch is active, try opening your menu. It won't work, and that can be a little bit of a pain, but there is a way around that I'll explain in stage 2. Speaking of which, let's go on to stage 2, locking in a Pokemon index number. Now, if you don't know what Pokemon index numbers are, they are essentially just a hidden number given to each Pokemon in the game's code, not to be mistaken for a Pokédex entry number. Now, how do you lock in a Pokemon index number? Well, all you have to do is battle with a Pokemon, either from the wild or from a trainer, and depending on what that Pokemon's special stat is, will be the number that gets locked in. So, for example, I'm gonna battle with this trainer here on Route 8. Now, he has only 1 Pokemon and it has a special stat of 40. And I know this because unlike wild Pokemon, NPC's Pokemon will always have the same stats. So I can use a map like this one and it will tell me what the special stat of the Pokemon is. So now the number 40 will be locked in, and after the battle is over, I have 2 options. I could choose to keep that number, or alternatively, change it. So let's just say I wanted to change it. All I would have to do is battle with another Pokemon, because the locked in number will always be the special stat of the last Pokemon encountered. So this time I'm going to battle for wild Pokemon at Route 7. Now I did manage to find this Pidgey here, however unlike the trainer battle, there is no way of knowing what special stat a wild Pokemon has. I mean, you can kind of take a guess, but most of the time it will just be up in the air. Now for the sake of demonstration, we'll just say that this had a special stat of 23. So now that will override the previous number. Now, just before we move on to the last stage, allow me to point out a few things. If you want to be able to use your menu again, just battle with a trainer, because after the battle's over, it should go back to normal. However, this only works with trainers, not wild Pokemon. Lastly, always leave at least 1 space between you and the trainer you want to battle while this glitch is active. Otherwise the game will freeze and you'll have to reset. But I'd say that's about it, so let's move on to the last stage. Executing an encounter. So again, I have the number 23 locked in. What I can do is force an encounter with a Pokemon whose index number matches 23. If we look at the index list, we can see that the Pokemon just so happens to be a Shelder. So if I want to encounter him, all I have to do is return to the route that I activated the glitch on. So if you remember, I performed the glitch with a long-range trainer on Route 6. So if I head back there, my menu should pop up, and once I close it, I'll encounter a Shelder. So now I could either fight him, run from him, or even catch him. But once the battle's over, the trainer escape glitch then deactivates. Now, I know that was kinda long, but at least now most of you should have a pretty decent idea about how the glitch works. So let's return back to where I was. I just performed the glitch and I teleported back to Saffron. This time I'm gonna head north and enter the Pokemon Dojo. Once inside, I want to battle with this trainer right here. Now again, make sure to have at least 1 space between me and him. Now the main reason why I wanted to fight with this trainer specifically is because I know his Machop has a special stat of 31, and I know this because the map tells me. So since I only have my Abra with me, I'm going to purposely lose the battle, but this is fine because the index number 31 will still be locked in even if I faint. So after I wake back up, I'm actually going to open and close my menu. This is just a good thing to do if you faint while the glitch is active because sometimes it can mess up, but if you open and close the menu, it'll fix that. Next, I'm going to walk down south to Route 6 and encounter the Pokemon. And like I said before, the Machop had a special stat of 31. So the Pokemon whose index number matches that is none other than Missingno. Now most people should know what Missingno is and what it can do, but just in case you don't know, I'll give you the rundown. Most people know it as a glitched Pokemon that will duplicate the 6 item in your inventory by 128 if you beat, run, or catch it. Now that is all true and it's the main reason why I wanted to encounter it. There's a little bit more to this glitch Pokemon that most probably don't know. So in Generation 1, there are actually 255 slots for Pokemon in the game's code. But as we all know, there's only 151 legitimate Pokemon that you can catch. So does that mean every other slot is empty? No. Every single Pokemon slot is filled with something. See, slots 191 to 255 and 0 are all filled with glitch Pokemon with their own weird side effects on the game depending on what you do with them. The remaining 39 slots are all filled with Missing No. Now, a lot of people have theorized that Missing No, or I guess the better way to say his name, Missing Number, was a placeholder for deleted Pokemon. I mean, this is pretty much confirmed by an interview with Shigeki Morimoto, who confirms that there were originally 190 Pokemon in Gen 1. So, 151 Pokemon plus the 39 Missing No is 190. Hey, just some food for thought. And look, I could go on all day about this kind of stuff, such as the index list being the order in which Pokemon were created, or the fact that when you trade Missing No to Gen 2, it will appear as a normal Gen 2 Pokemon, hinting that they might have been the scrap Pokemon moved to Gen 2 instead. The list can go on and on, but we'll be here all day, so let's just get back to the game. So I performed the Trainer Escape glitch twice now. Once to duplicate my rare candies, and the other for my nuggets. Now, as I've said before, I just wanted the nuggets so I'd never have to worry about my money ever again. In fact, I'm about to sell a bunch at the department store, and while I'm there, I might want to pick up a few calciums and TM33. But with that, I think it's about time we go full circle. Remember when I said that I wanted to get myself a more powerful and useful Pokemon? Well, I'm actually going to use the Trainer Escape glitch to get it. However, there isn't a single trainer in the entire game that has a Pokemon with the special stat that I'm looking for. But all is not lost, because there is another way that you can actually get the correct special stat that you're looking for. Okay, so now hear me out. You need to have a Pokemon with the correct stat and have a Ditto transform into it. So let's start with that first part. I need to get myself a Pokemon with a special stat of 173. So I've decided to use my Zapdos for this, mainly because it has a naturally high special, plus I won't really be needing it anymore after this anyway. Now, it didn't actually take much to get a special of 173, just a few rare candies and some calciums, but we're not done just yet. I will be needing a Ditto to transform into it, so I kinda need to be able to survive a few rounds against it. So I think the best way to achieve that would probably be to replace all of its damaging moves. So I can achieve that by just giving it a bunch of TMs that I have in my backpack that just don't give it anything that can damage me. Once that's done, I just need to have my Abra, Zapdos, and my Fearow in my party. And with that, I now have everything that I need. So like before, I'll be performing the glitch on Route 6 and I'll teleport back to Saffron. This time, however, I'm going to be traveling all the way down from Saffron to Fuchsia. And when I finally get to Fuchsia, I just need to head east to Route 15. And this is where I'm going to be able to find the Dittos. Now, it may take a little bit of time to find one, but once I do, I will swap to my Zapdos and have it transform into it. Once that's done, I just need to swap back to my Fearow. Now, remember when I said that I needed a Pokemon with Growl? Well, this is what I needed it for. See, just as the special stat determines what Pokemon you will encounter, there are also other aspects that you can change as well. See, whenever you encounter a Pokemon using the Trainer Escape glitch, that Pokemon will always be level 7. However, if I was to lower the Ditto's attack by 1 stage, that will also lower the level of the Pokemon I will encounter by 1. Now, as we all know, you can increase or decrease a Pokemon's stats up to 6 times. So what I'm going to do is lower the Ditto's attack stages by 6, and what that will ultimately do for the encountered Pokemon is have it be level 1. So that's what I'm going for. So anyway, back to the fight. I have successfully lowered the Ditto's attack 6 times. After that, I'm just going to beat it and use Teleport to take me back to Saffron. Now, I do have access to my menu because I bet this trainer over here when I first entered Route 15, so just so you know. But once we finally make it back to Saffron, I'm going to open and close the menu, just in case, and then walk south to Route 6. Now, the Pokemon I wanted all this time was a level 1 Vileplume. Now, if you didn't already know, there are quite a few things that make this Pokemon special. The first and most obvious is the fact that it's a Pokemon Red exclusive. The second, it can learn Cut, which is going to come very useful very soon. But the last and most important thing is it's a medium slow growth rate Pokemon that's level 1. Now, if you didn't know about Pokemon experience growth rates, it's essentially a group of 5 experience categories ranging from slow to fast. Now, every single Pokemon is in one of these categories, and depending on which category they're in, will determine how much experience on average they'll need for a level up. So usually the more powerful the Pokemon, like a Gyarados, will be in the slow category, while something like a Jigglypuff will be in the fast category. Now, as I've said before, this Vileplume is special because it has a medium slow growth rate and it's level 1. Now, the reason why you want this is because there's a very cool glitch that can level your Pokemon straight to 100 if it meets both those conditions. Now, to pull it off is actually pretty simple. All you have to do is get less than half a level of experience and you'll jump straight to 100. Now, I know that might seem hard because a level 1 Pokemon only needs something like 70 experience for a level, but there's a little trick that you can do to always get what you need. So first, just get the Orb Rod from the Fishing Guru in Vermilion. Now this rod is special because it will only ever give you level 5 Magikarps with no damaging moves. So because of that, I can easily take it out with my Vileplume, and just like that, it'll jump straight to 100. Now, another cool thing about leveling a Pokemon this way is it will always obey you, so you don't need any of the badges. So yeah, I finally got myself my powerful Pokemon, all for the low cost of my Zapdos. But look, let's be honest here, using legendaries is cheating and I would never do that. But anyway, now that that's done, we can finally take on the third gym. Now there does appear to be a tree in the way, so I'm going to have to get cut first. The good thing is, I already have my ticket, so I can just board the boat and get it from the captain. However, the tree outside the third gym isn't actually going to be the first one I'm going to use cut on. Instead, I'm actually going to use it on the one near Cycling Road. Mainly because I think it's probably best to pick up Fly now and teach it to my Furo, especially since I'm just about to get my third badge. Speaking of which, I think it's about damn time that I tick this off the list. Now, as soon as I entered the gym, I got that flash of like instant PTSD from trying to have to work out this mind-numbing, backwards-ass puzzle. But whatever, now I can take all my anger out on Surge by obliterating his Pokemon with my Dancing Flower. But with that, we now have the third badge. So that also means we now have access to Fly, which should make getting around so much easier for me. But nevertheless, time to move on to the fourth badge. Now for this one, I'm gonna want to have access to one of my favorite glitches in the entire game, and it just so happens to be one of the most powerful if you know how to use it correctly. The best thing yet, it won't even take that long to get. In fact, the only thing I need to get is an item with a quantity of 255. So let's start by getting that real quick. Now, I didn't mention this before, but you can actually duplicate a single item more than once to get a higher quantity. See, an item can have a max quantity of 255, but as we all know, the cap is set to 99, so under normal circumstances, you won't be able to go over it. But if you do use something like the item duplication, you can go over it. Now, as I've stated before, Missing No will always give you plus 128 of the item in the 6th slot. But what I didn't tell you is that you can actually use the glitch on the same item twice to get an even higher quantity. However, if I was to change nothing about the quantity after the first duplication, the second one would just automatically delete the item. And this is simply because the max quantity an item can have is 255. So let's just do some simple math. I have a starting item with a quantity of 1. I duplicate it once to get a quantity of 129. However, if I was to do this again, that would make the number 257, which would delete it. So all I need to do is perform the duplication glitch once, toss 2 items, and then perform it a second time to get an item of 255. Oh yeah, there's probably just one other thing I might want to point out. See this little weird picture display where the quantity should be? Well, believe it or not, every time you go up or down a quantity of 10, the image will change. And yes, they do technically represent the quantity of the item. However, I'm pretty sure the images just change depending on where you are, so they aren't the most useful thing. So I would say that the best way to keep track of your quantity over 100 is just to manually keep count. Trust me, you'll get used to it. But anyway, I have my 255 quantity item. Now, I've prepared my inventory for this beforehand, and this is what it looks like. 6 items, all different, no key items. Now, I'm also made sure not to have anything of value, as every single one of these items are about to be deleted. Now, this is all preparation for a glitch known as item underflow. And now that my inventory is set up correctly, I'm ready to create it. So first, as you can see, I just need 6 items with the 255 item at the bottom. And in this particular case, it just so happens to be the escape ropes. Then from the top down, I just need to start tossing the first 5 items. What this will do is replace the tossed item with a copy of the escape ropes. So we're going to keep doing this until they're all tossed, and I'm only left with the escape ropes. Next, I'm going to take the first stack and toss all but 3. Then I'm going to combine them with the next 3 stacks. And again, anything over 255 will delete the item, and this is no exception. So, with those 3 stacks gone, and the top item should now have a quantity of 0. So that means the glitch has worked, and I'm now able to scroll down past cancel, just like this. So, that's how you activate item underflow. Now, why would anybody want to scroll past down cancel? Well, it's because of what lies beyond cancel. Now, I know this might look like a bunch of random different items grouped together, but it's actually parts of the game's code displayed as items. And that's not all. You can also change these items, and depending on what you do with them, will actually change different aspects of the game. So if you know what you're doing, this glitch can be very powerful. However, in turn, it can be a little bit difficult to understand it. But I'll do my best to explain how these items work and what you can do with them. Now for this demonstration, I'm actually going to be using a different save for a reason I'll explain a little later on. But just so you know, it's exactly the same thing. So, right off the bat, I'll start by scrolling down past cancel until I get to the first item. Now, these Ultra Balls are the first in 16 items that will have impacts on the game depending on what you do with them. So, I'll be going through each of them and explaining what they can do. So, item 1 affects your money. So, depending on what item or quantity it has, will change how much money you currently hold. And yes, you can even use it to give yourself an amount over the limit. Now, items 2 to 6 changes the rival's name. This one is pretty self-explanatory. Change the items around and it will change their name. Now this is also the reason why I named my rival this at the start of the game. And that was purposely to avoid getting glitch items in my underflow, but I will touch up on that in a little bit. Now number 7 just changes the selections you made in the options menu. This one isn't really that great as you don't really ever have a reason to mess with it, simply because you'll just end up changing the selections you want, so it's pretty damn pointless. Now, item 8 changes what badges you currently hold. Now, this one can be pretty powerful. It can give you the ability to obtain any badge you want or don't want. Now, if you want to mess with it, just change the item. Changing the quantity doesn't do anything. Now, I also have a little bit of bad news about this one. You cannot give yourself all the badges using this, because unfortunately, the item for all badges is cancel, so it just happens to be the only thing you cannot move. Now, items 9 to 10 changes your trainer ID. So for an example, if I was to change these around and bet a random Pokemon, I would actually get the trade bonus because my ID doesn't match my Pokemon anymore. Now these items are also the reason why I wanted to use a different save for this demonstration. See, I got really unlucky and got a lot of glitch items as my ID items. Now it's nothing really bad, it's just that it takes up the whole screen and is incredibly annoying to scroll past. So this is the reason why I'm using a different save. Now, item 11 is linked to the screen brightness, so depending on what the quantity the item has, will either lower or raise the brightness. Now, there are two things to know. This will always be Ultra Balls, and if you ever want to revert it back to normal, just enter and exit a building. Now, item 15 is, in my personal opinion, one of the best. It can allow you to warp to the entrance of any location in the entire game when you exit a building. However, there is a gimmick to how it works. See, the quantity represents the index location number to where you are currently. And right now I'm in Celadon, which just so happens to have an index of 6. So let's just say I wanted to warp to the Indigo Plateau. It has an index of 9, so if I set the item 15 to 9 and then exit the building, I will warp to a corrupt location. But why? Well, you see in this game, every building in each area is given a number, and if you want to warp to a different location, you'll have to exit from the building that shares the corresponding number. So if this is the case and I want to warp to the Indigo Plateau, I'll need to find the building that shares the same number as it. And I think most of you can already see that the department store is indeed the correct choice. So once I enter it, I'll set the index to 9 and then just exit. And as you can see, I've successfully warped to the correct location. Now items 12, 13, 14, and 16 affects the X and Y coordinate of the player and world. And I'm going to be completely honest here. I don't really know how this one works, but I can say it's pretty fun to mess around with. I think it also needs to be said that this is probably one of the most powerful things you can do in the entire game if you know how to use it correctly. But just to give you a bit of an idea, I even managed to enter the Game Freak building from Route 7. But that's it, that's all the important items. Now every item beyond the first 16 is considered roaming, and from my understanding they're pretty safe to mess around with because they don't have any in-game effects that I'm aware of. Plus this is also the place that I use when I want to swap items with the first 16. Now another really cool thing about roaming is the fact that you can even deposit whatever items you want into the PC. And not only that, but roaming also changes its items around based on what location you currently are. So if you move around to different areas and locations, you will actually have the items change around. Now there is one last thing I need to note about item underflow. When it's active, it does temporarily destroy your inventory. So that means you won't be able to use it like a normal inventory. So basically, you can't pick up anything, you can't receive items, otherwise they'll just all be deleted. Now you want to know something pretty funny? I actually didn't create item underflow to mess with any of the first 16 items. In fact, I just wanted it so I can deposit a few items that can be found in roaming. Now, I will say, these items can be incredibly hard to get if you use some other convoluted method, so this really cuts down the time. Oh, and I won't reveal the items just yet, but I will say they'll play a big part in things to come. Now, I know I just said that I didn't get item underflow for the first 16 items, but what the hell? I might as well just save myself 40 seconds and just warp myself into the 4th gym in style. Now, when it actually came to the fight with Erica, it went just how you would expect. She has a level 29 Vileplume, I've got a level 100 Vileplume, so I think the math works out slightly in my favor. But there we go, the 4th badge down. Now, since I got what I wanted and I don't really need item underflow anymore, I might as well get rid of it. Not to mention, it would probably be kind of nice to have my inventory back. Now, the actual process of reverting it back to normal is boringly simple. Get a load of this. All you have to do is buy 3 different items from the Pokemart. That's it. But keep in mind, the 3 items might be deleted, so just buy some junk like I did. But with that, I think it's time we move on to the 5th badge. And of course, I have something pretty special planned for this one as well. Now, what I'm going to do is take a different approach to beating it. See, the last couple of gyms have just been me blowing through them, which I can only attribute to my slight advantage. However, that's going to change for this next gym. But the first thing I need to do is actually something within the gym itself. Now, I'm not talking about battling the leader just yet, but I do need to beat this trainer here and here. Now, the reason why is because these 2 trainers have to be beaten in order to reach the gym leader. So this is going to be incredibly important for later on. Next, I need to get one of my Pokemon poisoned. Now, obviously, I won't be able to do this with my Vileplume because it's immune. So instead, I'm going to use my Fearow for this. Now, there are quite a few ways of poisoning myself, but my brain immediately defaulted to Weedle, Viridian Forest. Now, yes, I am aware that this is Pokemon Blue, and Weedles only have a 5% chance of showing up, but it usually doesn't take too long to find one. And when I do finally find one, I just need to stall the fight as long as possible, at least until it uses enough poison stings on me to inflict the status. But with that out of the way, that pretty much means all the little things are done. Now comes the fun part. I need to head back to Fuchsia and deposit all my Pokemon except my Fearow. Now, as a little note, I do need to set this center as my rest zone. The good thing is I had already done that a little bit earlier. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is save the game and get ready for a trade. So for this, I'm going to link my copy of Pokemon Blue to my copy of Pokemon Red. And once that's done, I'm going to set up a trade between the 2. Now, once I enter the room, I'll bring up the trade window. Now, instead of actually trading anything, I'm going to immediately exit it. Now, this next part is where the poison Pokemon comes into play. See, I need to walk around this room until my Fearow faints to the poison. Now, this probably would have been a lot easier if I used a Pokemon with less hit points, but whatever, you live and you learn. So, after a while, my Pokemon fainted and I respawned outside the Pokemon Center in Fuchsia, meaning that the Cable Club glitch is now active. So, the next thing I'm going to do is withdraw my Vileplume and deposit my Fearow. Then I'm going to head straight for the gym. Now, while this is all going on, the game still thinks I'm in a trade with another trainer. And what do you think would happen if I was to battle someone right now? Well, you don't really have to think very hard because that's what I'm about to do. So once I enter the gym, I can head straight to the leader since I've already beaten the 2 trainers blocking the way. Now, when you enter a battle while in a trade with someone, the game will actually think that you're in a battle with the person you're in a trade with. But that's not all. They'll also use the Pokemon that they had on them at that time. Now, the person I was in a trade with just so happened to have a level 100 Mewtwo. Now, right off the bat, as you can already see, Mewtwo has a pretty interesting health bar. From my understanding, that just means he has more than 100% health, which only makes things that much better. Now, I have to point this out because it's pretty important. Mewtwo doesn't have Psychic in its move pool. This is on purpose because if he had it, he would have obliterated me instantaneously. But oh, don't worry, I have given him something far greater. And no, it's not Payday, it's even better. Now hear me out. Metronome. I mean, look, it's already put him to sleep and it's reduced his overall health for me. I knew this was a pretty good idea. Now, fast forward into the match, I had already dealt quite a bit of damage. Plus, I also managed to paralyze him, so I thought the battle was already over. Then he flew into the air. That ain't good. But surely the attack will fail to the paralysis, right? No, it landed and almost killed me. But by the skin of my teeth, I was able to win the very next round, so thank God for that. Now, you want to know one cool thing about being in the gym this way? The game will actually think that I bet the real Koga, so he will give me the badge like normal. However, like everything, there is just one small, tiny problem. I cannot save. Now, as you can see, my menu just doesn't have that option anymore. It's replaced by reset. And look, if I was to click that, it'll just take me back to the Pokemon Center without saving my badge, so that ain't happening. Now, of course, I wouldn't have gone through all this effort if there wasn't a way around this. So let's think for a second. How can you force a save in this game? Well, there are 3 methods that I can think of. The first would be the regular way by selecting in the menu. The second would be being the Pokemon League and getting the game over. And the last would simply be to change between boxes in the Pokemon Center. So you wanna guess which one I'm gonna choose? I mean, it ain't much of a guess considering it's my only option. Now this is actually something that's only in Generation 1 and 2, so I cannot believe I'm gonna say this. But I never thought that saving whenever you switch Pokemon boxes would come in handy one day. So after that's done and the game saves, I can reset and the badge will still be there, and all my progress will be saved. Now for the 6th badge, I ain't gonna lie, this one isn't gonna take that long to get. But that doesn't mean we can't have fun with it. So with that in mind, I'm gonna withdraw one of my favorite items in the entire game. Now remember when I had deposited a few items back when I had item underflow? Well, this just so happens to be one of those items. It's a glitch item called Jack, and it kinda works like a mini walk through walls. See, what it can allow me to do is pass through any solid object as long as the tile in front of me is walkable. So for example, when I use the item, the player will disappear. And that's okay, that just means the glitch is now active. See, the idea is to remember where you are on screen, which shouldn't be that hard considering you're always in the center. Now moving around Saffron like this is pretty normal, and that's because all the tiles around me are walkable. However, if I was to say, use this item while facing this fence, I wouldn't be able to move in any direction. And that's because the space in front of me is not walkable. You cannot walk on a fence. Now, if I was to face away from the fence and activate the glitch, I'd be able to walk 2 spaces up before I'd be stopped. So I'd say it's pretty easy to understand. Also, if I wanted to deactivate the glitch, all you have to do is view the Pokemon menu, close it, and everything should go back to normal. So I would say this is a pretty good all-around glitch item. Like I said, just think of it like a mini walk through walls. Now the first thing that I'm gonna do is actually just walk into the Silphco. See, there are 2 things I want to do here before I take on the gym. I want to get the Master Ball and I want to get rid of all the rockets. Now normally I'd have to go through this entire building to achieve that. But with Jack, I can just take the elevator all the way to the top floor and use the item to pass through the wall. So yeah, this is pretty much giving me a clear path straight to the Master Ball. But like I said before, I also want to get rid of all the rockets, so I'm gonna have to be Giovanni in order to do that. The funny thing is though, even when I walk past him, he doesn't even bat an eye. Hell, even when you talk to him, he doesn't do anything, so I need to get his attention. Now the only way I know how to do this is to walk in this specific tile right here. After that, he'll just act like everything's normal. So after I beat him into the ground, all the rockets should disappear. Then I'm going to exit the same way I entered, through a wall. But with that done, I might as well not waste any time and just get the 6th badge. Now this gym is a literal warp maze and it always seems to take you everywhere you don't want to go. So instead of stumbling around like a disorientated Neanderthal for 10 minutes, I'm just going to do this. Some may call it cheating, however, I call it a convenient strategy. But yeah, like I said, this wouldn't take me too long to beat the gym. However, that's just the calm before the storm, because the next badge is number 7. And I have something pretty big planned for this one. So, what's it going to be, you ask? Well, I want to get my hands on one of the most powerful glitches that this game has, and I'm of course talking about Floor 8, or as most people would know it, 8F. Now right off the bat, the thing that makes 8F great is it's just an item, so no more of that, oh you can't use your entire inventory while I'm active crap. Looking at you, item underflow. However, there's one bad thing about it. It can be extremely tedious to get under normal circumstances. However, we can just throw that all out the window, because I already have 8F. See, it was another one of those items I had deposited when I had item underflow, and in my opinion, that is by far the easiest way to get it. So case closed, I already have the item, there's nothing left. Wrong. See, if you've watched this far and you still think that, you're very naive. See, on its own, 8F is completely useless. Well, not technically true, it can crash your game if you use it by itself, so there is that. But let's just say you wanted to use it, so how could you do it? Well, there are certain conditions that have to be met in order for it to work correctly. Now the first condition requires you to have something that's known as a bootstrap. Now to create a bootstrap for 8F, you need to align your team with specific Pokemon. Now there are different teams that you can use to give yourself the same effect, but the one I'm going to be using is definitely going to be one of the easier ones. So let's start by hunting down all the Pokemon I need for this bootstrap. So first up is a Pidgey, which believe it or not is actually the hardest one on the list to get. You're probably wondering why. Well, you see, I don't want just any old Pidgey. I need one with exactly 233 health at level 100. Now I know what you're thinking. Xentain, that sounds incredibly tedious. Well, that's because it is. So with that in mind, allow me to show you the process. First, you need to catch a Pidgey and then level it straight to 100. Yep, that's right, because there is no other way of knowing whether or not it has the right stats. So yeah, you've got to do this all manually. Now I do have a ton of rare candy, so it's not like I'm leveling it from scratch, but there is one other little caveat. Once you level past 18, Pidgey will want to evolve every single level until 100. Now this wouldn't be so bad if you could use something like an Everstone, but unfortunately that was introduced in Gen 2. Now I'm pretty sure that someone might propose the idea of power leveling a Pidgey using their trainer escape glitch. I mean, you could actually technically do this. Pidgey does have a medium slow growth rate, but life is never that easy. See, I need to learn the move Wing Attack at level 28, and this is going to be incredibly important for something later on. Now again, this wouldn't be a problem if there was a move reminder in Gen 1. However, that was only introduced into Gen 3, so I'm just out of luck. But whatever, it is what it is. So next up is Parasect, and I think the easiest place to get one would probably have to be Cerulean Cave. Now the cave only opens up once I beat the League, but you can bypass that using Jack. Now once I'm inside, I just have to walk around the first layer until I encounter one. This shouldn't take too long, even though it only has an encounter rate of like 5%. But then again, anything after the Pidgey can be considered a cakewalk. Now, after the Parasect is an Onyx, so I'm gonna head to the Dark Tunnel to try and find one. Now, again, like the Parasect, it only has a 5% chance of showing up, but I think the game was throwing me a bone because it didn't actually take that long to find one. Now, this next Pokemon is actually the easiest one to get by far. See, I need to get a Tentacool, and there just so happens to be a route with a 100% chance of encountering them. Now, of course, this would require me to have Surf, which I don't have, but I do have something far greater. See, the last item that I had deposited from item Underflow was something that goes by the name question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark. 10 out of 10 name I know, but what this item can do is function the exact same as Surf. It's just that it's well, an item. You know what? Just think of it as Pocket Surf. Just face the water, use the item, and simple. But yeah, anyway, Tentacool was really easy to get. Let's move on. Now for the last Pokemon, I actually need a Kangaskhan, and normally the only place you'd be able to get them is the Safari Zone. But look, no one wants to go through the process of throwing rocks at Pokemon for 4 hours, so instead, I have a better method of catching one. So first, I need to rest at Cinnabar and buy an escape rope. Then, I'll travel to the Safari Zone, pay for access, and once I walk inside, I just need to walk to the area where Kangaskhan's can be found, which if you didn't know, is the second area to the east. Once I'm there, I just need to use the escape rope and that should take me back to Cinnabar. Now, all I have to do is surf along the edge here, and that will allow me to encounter Pokemon from the Safari Zone. So this is by far the easiest way to get anything from the Safari Zone, mainly for a few reasons. You can weaken them, they can't run away, you can use your own Pokeballs, plus you don't have a step limit, which is going to be pretty damn important when trying to find something like a Kangaskhan, because unfortunately, they only have a 4% chance of showing up. So yeah, it's not very good. However, once you do finally find one, I can just use a Master Ball to catch it, instead of a rock. That's a big difference. So yeah, there we go. That's all the Pokemon I needed for the Bootstrap. But that doesn't mean that I can use 8F just yet. See, the Bootstrap is just needed in order to activate it. In order to use it, I need to line my inventory with items in a specific order. You know what? This is just getting complicated. How about I just explain what 8F is first? I think that might paint a better picture. See, 8F is a glitch item that can execute commands depending on how you order your inventory. Now, just to keep things easy to understand, I will refer to these item sets as codes from now on. So let's just go through the process of executing a code real quick. So first I'll need the item 8F and the Bootstrap in order to activate it. Then I'll choose a code such as this one, and once I order my inventory correctly, I can just use 8F and it'll execute the code. Now this particular one duplicates the second item in your inventory by a quantity of 255, which is amazing because it pretty much eliminates any need to do the missing node duplication glitch anymore. Now to give you a better idea, there is a ton of different codes that can do very different things. Hell, there's even a code that can instantaneously enter you into the Hall of Fame. So this is a very powerful item if you know how to use it correctly. However, if I was to give it a con, it would 100% be the code requirements. Some of these codes require items that are really difficult to get, and in most cases, they need quantities over 100. This can be especially bad because once an item goes over 100, it can become incredibly messy and really hard to get the exact number. Now, thankfully, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. That happens to be 2 codes that will heavily increase the workflow of creating other codes. The first, again, is the item duplication one. This is pretty self-explanatory. You will 100% need items with quantities over 100, so this is a must. Now the second code is kind of a two-parter. If you use this variant of the code, it will cycle the second item in your inventory to the next one in order of index numbers. This can be great because it gives you access to every single item in the game, including glitch items. Now, the second variant of this code will do the exact same thing, except backwards. So, if you use these 2 codes together, you'll be able to get any item with any quantity you want. So that's a massive time save. But anyway, remember when this was about getting badges? Yeah, let's get back to that. So what I was going to do is actually use 8F to help me get inside the gym. Now, yes, I could have used something like Jack, but I really wanted to show off this code here. What it does is actually grant you the full powered walk through walls, and the best part is, you can even use it inside a building. So I'm going to use this to enter the gym. And the game froze. Now, if I'm going to be completely honest, that wasn't a part of the plan. At the time, I didn't really know what was doing this. I thought it had something to do with me entering this way, so screw it. I'll just enter the way the developers originally intended. So let's go get the key from the Pokemon Mansion. This is also a great opportunity to use the walkthrough walls code. I can just whip in and out real quick, no problem at all. Now, I have the key. Surely the game won't pull any of that funny business again. And it still freezes. So, after some digging around with another save, it would appear that the Cable Club glitch I did at the 5th gym is what's causing this. This is pretty weird considering that this is the only side effect of that glitch that I'm aware of. So, change of plans. I can't enter this gym. So I need to find another way of getting myself the badge. Now I have 2 options. I could either start again from scratch, or I could use 8F to dig myself out of this hole. So after doing some digging, I actually found this code here. Apparently what it can do is set what badges you currently hold. Now, I won't lie, it's kind of a shame that I have to get the badge this way, but then again, it's not like the gym was going to put up much of a fight anyway. But yeah, there we go. That's the 7th badge down and only 1 more to go. Now for the last gym, I want to do something in the same vein as the second one. I want to catch myself a new team and use it to beat the final gym. So where am I going to get the Pokemon for this team? Well, 8F of course. See, I happened to stumble upon this code right here, and what it can actually do is pretty interesting. Now, what it does is generate a random encounter, and this can be in the form of a trainer or wild Pokemon. But that isn't the only thing. See, if I was to encounter a trainer that had, let's just say, a level 31 Pokemon, every wild Pokemon after that encounter will also be level 31, at least until you verse another trainer. So, here's the plan. I'm going to look for a trainer that's around the same level as the gym leader. Then I'm going to catch the next 6 Pokemon that show up, and the order that I catch them in will be their position in my Pokemon team. So, after a while of encounters, I actually managed to find a Juggler that had a Pokemon that was level 48, so that's around the level that I'm looking for. So once I'm done with the battle, I'm then going to catch the next 6 Pokemon that I find. Now in order, this is what I found. A Tauros, Dragonite, Koffing, Seadra, Charizard, and Hypno. Now, I'm not going to lie, that was a lot better than I thought. So I don't really think I'm going to have much of a hard time with the gym leader. Speaking of which, I think it's about time I take on Giovanni and get my last badge. So, first up is Tauros versus Rhyhorn. Now, I start off with a nice, clean Leer, just to soften him up a bit. Then he used motherfucking Horn Drill. Thankfully though, it missed. So, after that, like, mini heart attack, I think it's probably a good idea to take him out as fast as possible so he doesn't pull that shit again. So I hit him with a Stomp, which I must say did a lot more damage than I thought. Now, how did the opponent respond to this? He uses Guard Spec. Not quite understanding the strategy he's going for, but I started to hit him with another Stomp. I think this might have given him a little bit of brain damage because now he's just copying me. So yeah, in the end that didn't really work out for him. So the first round goes to me. So next up is Dragonite versus Dugtrio. So this time, are we going to see a better performance from the opponent? Probably not, but there's only one way to find out. So I decided to start off strong with a Dragon Rage. Then he used Growl, which effectively does nothing as Dragon Rage will always inflict 40 damage. A truly baffling decision. How will he recover from this? His answer, Sand Attack. That misses, which is pretty sad and kind of ironic. But it isn't over just yet, he did manage to survive until the next round. So what will he do next? Well, I can tell you he did finally land a hit, and it was a crit no less. But he was just short and got taken out. But hey, I'll give him an A for effort. Next up after that is Coughing vs Nidoking. But before we start, I think we can take a moment to appreciate that moveset. We've got Smokescreen that does 0 damage, we've got Haze that does 0 damage. And for my next 2 moves, we've got Self-Destruct, which will instantly kill me, or better yet, we have Explosion, which will also instantly kill me. So yeah, I'm really caught between a Smokescreen and an Explosion. So with that in mind, I might as well use a few Smokescreens to lower its accuracy, and after that, I went out in a blaze of glory. And hey, I almost took it down with me. But you can't win them all. So that victory goes to the Nidoqueen. However, it was pretty short-lived because I sent out my Seadra the next round to pick up the scraps. And hey, it didn't even stand a chance. Next up is Charizard vs Nidoking. And I started off pretty clear-headed with a tactical Leer setting up my strategy. Then that all goes thrown out the window the moment he starts using Thrash. And look, if you want some decent advice, never underestimate a Nidoking with Thrash. So I will take my own advice and burn his ass to the ground before he starts picking up momentum. But last up is Hypno vs Rhyhorn. So right off the bat, I hit him with the good old plain Psychic, which almost ended him right there on the spot. Now, what's he going to do to recover from this? He uses Guard Spec. Sorry, I was just getting the weirdest deja vu. But with that, I managed to take him down the next round and secure the win. So there we have it, the 8th and final badge. Now normally this would be the point where I'd say something along the lines of, hey, let's battle the Pokemon League. But there's a little something I want to do before then. See, there's a very powerful Pokemon trainer that I want to beat, and to be even able to attempt the fight, I need a much better Pokemon team. So that only really gives me one choice. I'm forced to build a team up from the ground, because anything else wouldn't be good enough. So let's get started on that. So first I need to get these Pokemon. Now the key note is, I didn't say catch. I'm not about to go through all the effort of catching them. Not to mention that you can't even get Growlithe in Pokemon Blue anyway. So instead, I'm actually going to use this 8F code and that will give me the Pokemon I need. Now, to give you a better idea how it works, I just need to set this item's quantity to the index of the Pokemon that I want. So, I'm going to use this until I receive all these Pokemon, 6 Mews, and the glitch Pokemon known as M. These are going to be paramount because I'm going to need them for something known as the Pokemon Merge glitch. Speaking of which, now that I have all the Pokemon I need, I think it's about time we start the merging. But just before we do, I should explain how it works. Now, as the name implies, it's a glitch that can merge 2 Pokemon together with the benefit of gaining each other's typing. Think of it like this. You have a donor Pokemon, Mew, and a recipient Pokemon, Snorlax. What I can do is donate the Mew's typing and abilities to the Snorlax at the cost of its own, at least until you change it back. But why would anyone want to do this, and why would I need 6 Mews? Well, one of the best things about the merge glitch is you can teach Pokemon moves that they wouldn't normally be able to have access to. For example, if I donated a fire type stats to a water type, I could teach it something like Fire Blast. Then I can revert the water type back to normal and it'll keep the Fire Blast. Now this is also the reason why Mew makes the best donor Pokemon, because as you all know, Mew can learn every single TM and HM in the game, so that alone makes it a really good donor Pokemon. So, how do we perform the Pokemon merge glitch? Well, it's actually pretty straightforward, but you will need 5 things. A donor Pokemon, a recipient Pokemon, a glitch Pokemon M, any random Pokemon, it doesn't matter, and an empty Pokemon box. Now one thing to note before I start, any Pokemon that's below M will turn invisible. Not only that, but it'll also give it some really weird side effects. So a good rule of thumb is to always have M at the bottom of the party. But now that we're ready, the glitch goes as follows. First deposit the normal Pokemon. So for this, I pick my Fearow. Then deposit M, followed by the donor Mew, and the recipient Magnemite. Then I'll withdraw my Fearow first, and my Magnemite second, and if everything went correctly, my Magnemite should now look like Mew. So that means the glitch has worked. Now if I wanted to set this up again, all I have to do is withdraw M and release the donor Pokemon. This is very important. Once the Pokemon donates its stats, it will become unstable, so it's always best to just release it. But after I'm done merging all my Pokemon, I'm going to give them these movesets. And look, I'm aware that they aren't exactly the greatest movesets. I didn't take into account things such as the physical special split, but hey, at least it has charm and that's all that really matters. So now that all my Pokemon have their moves, I think it's about time we turn them back to normal. See, when you merge 2 Pokemon together, they'll become a little unstable. Now, it really isn't as bad as it sounds. It pretty much just means you can't trade them and it will keep all the same stats from the donor Pokemon. Now, the good thing is it can be really easy to stabilize them. All you have to do is deposit them into the daycare and then instantly take them back out. And as you can see, they're already back to normal. However, like always, this is where another problem arises. This is one of those, oh, Gen 1 did something that no other generation has or will ever do again. You cannot deposit Pokemon with HMs. Now, if I had to guess why they did this, I think it's because HMs could be replaced by any other move while leveling up, but you could just reteach them the HM, so I don't really get what they were going for. Now, this affects me because I have two Pokemon with HM moves, my Snorlax that can fly and my Magnemite which can surf. So if I want to stabilize them, I'm gonna have to do something different. Now, there is one other way that you can stabilize them, but it's way more complicated, mainly because you're gonna need Pokemon Stadium 2. The good part is though, I have Pokemon Stadium 2. So, if I want to connect this game to Pokemon Stadium 2, I'm gonna have to do a few things. First, I'm gonna save and connect the game to the transfer pack on the N64 controller. Once I boot up the game, I'll select my Pokemon Blue save and head over to the Pokemon Lab. Now, the only thing I want to do here is have access to the PC, because from it, I just have to move my Pokemon with HMs from my inventory to the Pokemon box. Then, I just have to save and exit. Once that's done, I just need to do what I just did in reverse. So, I'm gonna re-enter it, withdraw my two Pokemon, and then save and exit. Once that's done, I'll remove the game and boot it back up, and as you can see, they're stabilized. So now I'm pretty close to being done, however the next part is just going to be fantastic. I need to level them all to 100, make sure they all have max stats, and make sure that they get their evolution stones and everything. Once that's done though, I'm finally finished. Well, there is one more thing I kind of want to try. Apparently there is a code that can turn your Pokemon into shinies. Now, I'm not sure if you're all aware of this, but Gen 1 doesn't have shinies. Then again, that ain't really that important, because the formula for what makes a Pokemon shiny is actually present in this game. Now, if you didn't know, a shiny is actually determined off its IV stats. To be more specific, it's this exact formula right here, for Gen 2 anyways. So what this code does is change a Pokemon's IV stats to 10 across the board. So let's just give it a try. Now, in order to pull this off, all I have to do is deposit a Pokemon into an empty Pokebox and use the code. Then withdraw them and repeat the process for all the others. Once that's all done, I guess there's only one thing left to do. Save the game and get ready for a trade. Now for this, I'm going to connect my copy of Pokemon Gold and enter the time capsule. Once I'm inside, I just need to trade all my Pokemon across and see if it worked. And if you believe it, it actually did. But with that, I finally deemed my Pokemon team to be finished, and I think this is the best time to finally put it to the test. Now, as I've said before, there's a very strong trainer that I want to battle. The only drawback is though, there isn't any official way to encounter the battle. But of course, there's some super obscure way to force the encounter, that goes without saying. So in order to pull this off, I need to get a Pokemon with a special stat of 226. Now, since I don't really use my Abra anymore, I might as well use him as the guinea pig. Now, he just needs to be around level 88 with a few vitamins in order to reach the correct stat. So after that, I'm also going to level up my Fearow, because I'm definitely going to need it for the next battle coming up. But once that's done, that's pretty much all that I'll need. Now, a few of you can probably already tell what I'm doing, because I mentioned having special stats and needing my Fearow. Now remember when I first did the trainer escape glitch, I said something very important. You can use this glitch to encounter a Pokemon or trainer. Now in this case, I'm going to use it for a trainer. Now, these next couple of steps are going to be very specific, so I can't mess this up, especially if I want it to work correctly. So first, I need to perform the trainer escape glitch on this trainer right here on Route 7. Then I'm going to fly to Vermilion and battle with this trainer here on Route 11. After that, I'm going to head to Fuchsia and travel east to where the Dittos are. Now this is kind of like what I've done before. I need a Ditto to transform into my Kadabra. However, this time I only need to use Growl at least 4 times. But I can go all the way up to 6 if I want. Now in this particular case, I did it 5 times. So after that, I'll run for the battle and fly to Lavender Town. Now this would be the best time to withdraw my freshly made Pokemon team from the PC. Once that's done, I'll finish the glitch by walking back towards Route 7. Now, the trainer I wanted to verse was none other than Professor Oak. Now there's some pretty interesting things about this trainer. The first would be that this is a legitimate battle that's in the game's code. This isn't one of those weird glitch trainers that just uses random Pokemon. No, this is the real deal. And that just begs the question, why was it removed? While some people have some pretty convincing theories, such as him being the original league champion or a secret boss like Red in Gen 2. I think the strongest piece of evidence for this would have to be the message he gets on his PC at the Pokemon Lab. It asks for strong trainers to take on the Pokemon League while specifically asking for Oak to visit them. Plus, there's also a little hint that Agatha gives you. She mentions he used to be a very strong Pokemon trainer, and this also lines up with the fact that he uses very similar Pokemon to your rival, with a few exceptions. Plus, not only that, he also has the highest level Pokemon team for a legitimate battle in the entire game. So I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of a shame that it got scrapped. I think you could have made a really cool secret boss if you completed the Pokédex or something. But anyway, now that he's beaten, that means there's only one more thing left. The Pokemon League. Now, if you think I'm gonna enter straight through the door and take on the challenge like a normal person, your head isn't in the right place. See, I'm gonna go all out. And what better way to achieve that than combining all my favorite glitches together to help me take on the League. So let's not waste any more time and get straight to the preparation. So first I need to deposit all these items into the PC. Then I will need to withdraw the Pokemon I need for 8F, and not only that, I need to get my Pidgey paralyzed. Now there are many ways of achieving that, I just happen to pick the most complicated. Get this, I caught a Pikachu at Viridian Forest and taught it Thunder Wave. Then I had a Ditto transform into it and had it use the move on me. Genius, I know. Next I need to recreate item Underflow, and once I have it, I just need to travel back to where it all started. The player's room in Pallet Town. Now this next part is going to be very specific and has to be done to a T if I want to pull this off. So first, I need to stand right here in this room. Then I need to set the warp index to 246. After that, I need to walk this exact pattern. Then I'll withdraw 3 different items from the PC, destroying my item Underflow. Next, I will also withdraw all the items I had deposited before. After that, I will exit out of the PC and walk this exact path out the room. Now I know it might look weird, but this is the only way you can do it. So once I leave the room, I just have to exit the house. Now if everything went correctly, I should have made it out in one piece and skipped past Lorelei straight into Bruno's room. Now, do you think I'm gonna fight him? Nah, of course not. That'd be a waste of time, and I've got better things to do. And then there was Agatha. See, unlike the other two, you actually have to beat her, otherwise the game will start to glitch out if you just proceed to the next room. But that's okay because I have something pretty special planned for her. Remember when I needed to get my Pidgey paralyzed? Well, this is what I needed it for. See, there's a glitch that can allow you to become invulnerable if you get paralyzed on the second stage of Fly. Now, this is pretty lucky to pull off, but once you do, there isn't a single thing that will be able to hit you. However, there is just one other problem. Pidgeys don't have a lot of moves that can damage ghost types. And I don't know if you know this, but Agatha has a few ghost type Pokemon. Now, this isn't a massive deal because you can use Fly to deal damage to ghost types. However, if I was to use it again, I would lose the invulnerability. But don't worry because I thought ahead. Remember way back when I first got this Pidgey? There was something very important that I said it needed to have. See, I need to learn the move Wing Attack at level 28, and this is going to be incredibly important for something later on. That's right, it was Wing Attack. The only other move the Pidgey can learn that can damage ghost type Pokemon. Well, except for Sky Attack, but that move sucks. But yeah, that was the main reason why I wanted to level all those Pidgeys manually. Man, it was not worth it. But you know what? I'm glad I did it. Because now I can whittle her team down without her ever being able to attack me. But yeah, with her gone, it's time to go to Lance. Now for him, I have a very special 8F code. What this one does is incredibly interesting and the battle's over. So yeah, that was a hard fight, thanks for the win. And look, I don't feel bad about cheating, because that just makes the two of us. Now for the champion, I've saved the best for last. This is probably one of my favorite 8F codes in the game, and what it does is... But you know what? I think I'm gonna let this one speak for itself. So, that's about it. It's been a pretty big journey to get to this point, but with all the badges collected and the league completed, I think it's about time it comes to an end. Wait, you know what? There is still one more thing I kinda wanna do. There is one more final fight, and this is what I would consider the true end to the game. And this next fight is no joke either. If I want any chance of beating it, I'm gonna need the best of the best. Now to actually encounter the battle, that can be a little bit difficult, as it will require me to rename myself. Now, as you all know, that's literally impossible. Once you name your character, it's locked in. Oh, who am I kidding? Of course there's an 8F code that can help you change your name. Now, I will say, this code doesn't work exactly how you think it would. What it actually does is replace your name with one of your Pokemons, specifically the one in your first slot. So with that in mind, I'm going to head to Lavender Town and meet with the name writer. He will allow me to change one of the names for my Pokemon. So I'll pick my Pidgey for this and I'll give it this name here. After I name it that, I'll just have to use the code 7 times, each time for each letter replaced. So now that I have the name that I want, I'm going to withdraw my team and head straight to Cycling Road. Here, I need to beat a trainer. He should be the one with the level 33 Machop. After that, I just need to head to Viridian to perform one of the most well-known glitches of all time, the Old Man Glitch. Now, for the very few that don't know what this glitch is, allow me to break it down. When you talk to this NPC, he'll ask you if you want to know how to catch a Pokemon, and if you do, he'll show you. Now, on the surface, everything seems pretty normal, but what happens behind the scenes is actually quite dramatic. During the cutscene, the game will temporarily change the player's name to Old Man, and it moves the player's name to another location, specifically to the wild Pokemon encounter data. Now, after the cutscene is over, the player's name doesn't automatically move back to its original place. Instead, it will only do that if you walk to another area that isn't a city or battle with a wild Pokemon in the grass. So if I was to say fly to Cinnabar Island and surf along the edge of the water here, it wouldn't reset my name back to normal. Now, if I was to encounter a wild Pokemon, it will actually use the player's name as a guide for what Pokemon will show up. But that's pretty much what the Old Man Glitch is, and I think it's safe to say that most people tend to use this to encounter Missingno. However, if I was to have this name and battle with the biker on Cycling Road, I'll be able to encounter a very special trainer. His name is the Ultimus, and he happens to be the strongest known glitch trainer that doesn't crash the game. Now you're probably wondering to yourself, what makes him so difficult? Well, for starters, every single one of his Pokemon are level 215. So right off the bat, there's that. But before we start the fight, I think I want to make things a little bit more interesting. I'm going to limit myself by not allowing the use of any items or switching between Pokemon during the battle. But without further ado, let's get started. So his first Pokemon is a Magnemite that's named Trainer for some unknown reason. And for his first move, he uses TM05. And no, not Mega Kick, he literally uses the TM. Now what this does is raise his evasiveness by 2 stages every time he uses it. Luckily, I was able to at least land a Leech Seed, so at the minimum, I can take a little bit of his health off each round. And I'll definitely say that I got really lucky with my accuracy. Even with his high evasiveness, I managed to knock the Magnemite out the same round he achieved 6 stages. Because usually, if he hits that point, he can just stall the fight out and wheel you down slowly. So I got very lucky. So next up is Pidgeot, and for his first move, he uses Whirlwind. Thank God it missed though, because that would have thrown a monkey wrench into my plan. So for the next round, I hit him with a Thunderbolt, which did decent damage. But then he used Mirror Move, and that did about the same amount of damage back to me. This is actually pretty shocking considering he's not even a special type. Then again, he is level 215, so I kinda keep forgetting that little detail. Now things were looking up though, because I did manage to land a crit and almost took him out. However, he lived with what looks like 1 HP. Now surely the next round he's gonna dish out something devastating. But no, he used Agility. Well, I just don't have anything more to say about that. So moving on. Next up is his Ivysaur. And to be honest, I wasn't really that concerned about it, especially since it wasted an entire turn setting up a Solar Beam. Then that Solar Beam hit me and almost killed me. And keep in mind, it was against my Fire type. Anything else would have been straight up one-shot. So the very next round, I thought I was done. Surely he could pick me off with any damaging move, but instead he used Growth, which gave me the opportunity to get him really low. But then out of all the things he could have used, he used Sleep Powder. And unfortunately, he did manage to take me out with another Solar Beam before I woke back up. So he did manage to take out my first Pokemon. Now, I ain't gonna take that lightly, so I made sure to secure the win the very next round by sending out my Alakazam, whom just so happens to have a very high speed and damage. Now his next Pokemon is another Magnemite. This one, however, was really easy to beat. For some reason, it was a lot more aggressive than what they usually are. See, it didn't use a lot of TM5s, and to be honest, that's pretty much its bread and butter. So without it, it's pretty much a sitting duck. Now up until this point, you could consider that the calm before the storm. For its next Pokemon is Nidoking. With that in mind, I went with Snorlax for its high defense and health, and in the first round, I started off with a Sword Stance, increasing my damage output for the next couple of rounds. That's when he hit me with the Thrash, that just so happened to take out 3/4 my health in a single hit. Keep in mind, he doesn't have a single damage increase, and he can do that much. So at this point, there is literally nothing I can do. He's faster than me, and Thrash always gets locked in, so he'll 100% use it the next round. So with my Snorlax getting taken out like it was nothing was a pretty big wake-up call. From here on out, I've got to play smart, otherwise this battle is over. So I tried switching to my Magneton, hoping to get at least a single hit in. However, he was just too fast. Now, there might be only one Pokemon that I have that could be faster than Nidoking, and that's my Alakazam. So I sent him out hoping I can hit the Nidoking with a Thunder Wave, increasing his chance of failing his moves, especially since he will be confused the very next round. But that's when it came to my attention that the Nidoking is not only faster, but he didn't get hit by the confusion, and he landed a crit one-shotting my Alakazam. So at this point, it ain't looking too good for me. So I sent out Lapras hoping to land a hit, and I think the game was throwing me a bone at this point because the Nidoking finally got hit by its own confusion. But not only that, he also used Poison Sting instead of Thrash in the very next round. So with that, I was able to land another Surf and it almost took him out. However, in the next round, he started thrashing again, and that obliterated my Lapras. And this only leaves me with one Pokemon left, my Exeggutor. Now, I could have just went with a Psychic, but instead I went for the Sleep Powder. Now, the reason why I chose to do this is because I wanted to get a little bit of health back after I get hit by the Thrash. It was risky, but it did pay off. Now, I was going to use Dream Eater to finish it off, but I had a feeling that this idiot was going to wake up the very next round. So I said, screw it, let's just hit him with a Psychic and secure the kill. Now, I'm very glad I did do that, because he did wake up in the very next round. However, thankfully, since this is Gen 1, it takes an entire turn to wake up, so I secured the win. Now, the battle isn't over just yet, there still happens to be one more Pokemon left. Not only that, but it also seems to be a counter to my Exeggutor. Now, my only real option here is to get super lucky and land another Sleep Powder without him landing a single damaging move against me. As unlucky as that seemed, I actually did manage to pull it off. See, the Fearow used Agility for its first move, and I managed to land the Sleep Powder. So from here on out, it's pretty cut and dry. Leech Seed and Dream Eater to get all my health back. And I almost took him out with a Psychic, but that doesn't matter, because it was actually the Leech Seed in the end that got the last laugh. And with that, I won the battle by the skin of my teeth. But that's about it. That's how you play Pokemon Blue. Or at least, one way you could play it.